All right, thank you, everyone. My name is Jenna Griffith, Director of Special Events at Achilles. Thank you for joining us tonight for our special injury prevention training workshop with Achilles coach Francesco, featuring Achilles athlete and personal trainer Billy Davis. Today happens to be Billy's Alive Day, which is the 9th anniversary of the day that he lost his leg above the knee in a motorcycle accident. He has pushed through his life-changing injury these past 9 years, not only staying in remarkable shape, competing in triathlons and racing events, but paying it forward with his own foundation and raising funds for adaptive sports organizations such as Achilles. We are honored to have Billy join us tonight and give us some useful tips to help us train safely and strengthen our muscles so we are race ready. Special thank you to the Independent Training Spot for providing the training space tonight in Manhattan. We will have time at the end of the workout for Billy and Francesco to answer questions from the Q&A chat in the Zoom room. Francesco, turning it over to you. How are you guys doing tonight?
What's up? What's up? We're doing really well. I am honored to be here with Billy. We're going to ask some very, very brief questions, maybe just two, and then we'll get started because that's what we're all here for. So, Billy.
Yes, sir.
How's it going, man?
I'm good, man. Every day above ground is a good day.
Every day, exactly. Well said. How did you find your way to Achilles? Like, what's,
So,
tell me the details.
So, 9 years ago, on today, I had lost my leg in a motorcycle accident. And 5 days later, actually, I was in a coma for 5 days, 11 hours with surgery, blah, blah, blah. I can tell the story later. When I woke up and I was finally accepting my new reality, I knew that I had to find something bigger than the amputation to focus on. And so I thought, what is the scariest, hardest thing I can think of to put myself through physically? And I just saw one word, Iron Man. And it scared the heck out of me. And I thought, dagnabbit, now I got to do an Iron Man.
And that's why you're on Try Achilles.
And that's why, So shortly after I got myself out of ICU, my first processes quickly said, you should find Achilles. They work with adaptive athletes and they work on races and things of that nature. So sometime later, I made my way to Central Park on a Saturday at 10:30. I found Achilles runners everywhere, Achilles kids. And at the time, I didn't even have a prosthetic. And I still joined and I rode a bike and I walked. And when they started Achilles Try, I joined. I learned how to swim. And 6 months later, jumped into the Hudson and did my first triathlon with the New York City Tri in 2015.
That's a hell of a first race.
It was a horrible idea.
Yes,
6 months of swim training and then trying to do an Olympic distance was a bad idea. I wouldn't recommend it. But it worked out. I didn't die. And I'm still here.
Yeah, exactly. If anything, it raises engagement.
It raised a lot of things, including my blood pressure for a moment. But yes. So I've been on, and I've fallen in love with the sport. And even better than that, I met an amazing community of athletes and like-minded individuals who refuse to let their circumstances dictate their flow. And people like yourself and Ben Simmons, and the list goes on and on. Emily Gray, Rudy Preston Tolson, and Evelyn, and just everybody on the team. It's just been so great.
No, that's awesome. So what do you have in store for us today, Bill?
So I'm so excited because we're just going to do some really simple things. A lot of misconceptions about fitness are that it has to be this grand, CrossFit epic workout to get you going. When in actuality, you really only need some basic things to get you in shape and keep you in shape. But before we get you in shape, you have to make sure that you don't get hurt. Rule number one, don't hurt yourself. So we don't want to start off with massive things if we can't do basic things. Okay, so from a fitness standpoint, you really only do it, the body only does a couple of things. It sits, it stands, it pushes, and it pulls. So we want to make sure that the things that you do most, you don't do to a point where you hurt yourself, and that you're able to fluidly move from one thing to the next. So we're just going to do some basic stuff, some stretches, some foam rolling, and a few basic movements that most people should be able to do. And with a few modifications, if you're a bit more advanced, I'll show you how to bring it up a level. And if you're a little bit more regressed or deconditioned, I can show you how to dumb it down a little bit so that you're still able to participate. The important thing is that you do something.
Yeah.
Don't allow the grandiosity of it to stop you from moving. Paralyzation, or what is it? Paralysis through analysis.
Yeah.
So just move.
That's awesome. And for those that don't know, I'm totally blind. For those who are blind, Billy's missing a leg. Billy will be describing some stuff for us, visually impaired folk, and this workout should be accessible for most, if not all. And we'll have a Q&A at the end for you to ask your individualized questions. So,
yes.
Sound good?
Yes.
All right.
First things first.
Let's get started.
Before you get started, make sure you check with your physician and make sure that you have no underlying conditions that would stop you from working out. If you have any sort of heart condition or you have asthma, make sure that you've taken care of that. If you have asthma, make sure you have your inhaler. If you have an injury, basically, if it hurts, don't do that. So if people always come, well, when I do this, it hurts, then don't do that. So if you have an arm injury or a knee injury, work around it, move to your range of motion, and seek out a professional. And at every opportunity, if you have an opportunity, get a personal trainer, get a physical therapist. You can always give me a call or one of the other Achilles team members involved. Yeah. Okay.
Right on.
All right. So we're going to take a few steps back here.
Okay.
Okay. So you should still be well with the shot. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to kind of shake all the limbs. So just kind of shimmy, shake your shoulders. Start with fingers and toes, like small digits. Move through the wrists, elbows, shoulders. You might do like some small circles. So I'm going to stand in front of Franny right here, and I'm just doing circles out. You can go small circles to big circles to small circles. Just kind of get the blood flowing a little bit. You might even reach up to the sky as high as you can, really, really, really high, and then reach all the way down as low as you can, all the way down to the floor, or as low as you can get. Some people want to get to their ankles, maybe their knees. You want to feel a stretch in your hamstrings. You also want to make sure that you move in multiple directions. So if you might do a little twist at the waist, hopefully you don't hear too much cracking and popping. Okay, so you're just kind of getting the body moving. Some people like to shadow box or jumping jacks, maybe run in place for just a couple of seconds, just to kind of get the blood, kind of let the body know we're about to do something. Okay, so assuming we've done that, one of the other things I really, really, really like to do with Lance's workout, which really isn't, is foam roller. Okay, so what we have is a couple of foam rollers. Franny, if you can put yours up where kind of chest high so they can see it.
Yeah.
So this is a really standard soft foam roller. The one that I have is a little bit harder, it's shorter, and it has a PVC pipe. So you know that if you can feel one is just a lot more stiff.
Oh, yeah.
So this one's going to get a little bit more resistance. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to sit on the floor with this. Yeah, we're going to start obviously with our calves. So from here, a couple things when you foam roll. You do not foam roll any joints. So you do not foam roll your knee. You don't want to foam roll your lower back. You want to avoid foam rolling your neck. But you can foam roll muscles and muscle fascia. So from here, we're just going to put our hands behind on the floor. We're going to lift our hips, and we're going to foam roll back and forth over the calf. And the idea here is just kind of want to knead the muscle out a little bit, kind of like you would bread. And you can rotate the feet to the left or to the right to kind of get the outside and the inside heads of the calf or the gastrocs. And if you feel a spot that kind of gives you a little bit of tension, just kind of stop on it, sit for a moment, and don't forget to breathe. Now, if you notice that you're starting to sweat a little bit, you're probably in the right spot. Okay?
I'm in the right spot.
Okay, so after you've done that a little bit, you're going to sit your butt back down. You're going to move the foam roller above the knee. Now we're going to hit the hamstrings. Now you'll notice if you can see Franny has both legs on top of the foam roller. I've only got one. So that means I'm going to get more pressure on my one leg than you're going to get on both of yours. So you can cross, absolutely. And again, now you're just going to roll back and forth over that hamstring. This is usually pretty simple. Doesn't really hurt. Pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Next one's going to hurt. Okay. Just fair one. Let's scoot back just a couple inches here. Now what we're going to do now is you're actually going to go over to your side. This is called an IT band, iliotibial. So you're going to step over. You're going to go from your elbow rather than your hand. So take this hand, go before we go. You go to straighten it, and you're going to roll back and forth from the hip to the knee, along the flat part of the outside of your thigh. Yep, that's the right spot. Did that look?
Yeah.
That's it. And you're just going to go back and forth, nice and easy. Nothing too fancy. And if you need to, take a second at any point. This is, yeah. Here's a good thing. You can do this every day, and there's a diminishing law of returns here. So the more you do it, the less it hurts. Yep. Okay. Since we're right here, let's go Home. Let's go belly down. Now we're going to foam roll our calves. Do not foam roll your knees, your kneecaps. Go down your elbows, and you can go right over the front of your thighs. These are your quads. Okay? This is really big for runners and cyclists because of the forward dominant athletes. Now, if you really want to populate this a little more, bend your knees up towards your butt, which will expand your calf and quads, and then keep going. You feel that session intensify just a little bit.
Definitely more intense.
More intense. And again, if you're at home doing this, get a moment, and it's too much, just take a second, breathe, and stop. Yourself a break. Okay? Okay. Next what we're going to do is nice and fun. So you're going to sit in front of your foam roller. Excuse me. It's my asthma kicking up. And you're going to lean back, so your back is on the foam roller, right about from just above your lower back. So right about there. Okay. You're going to plant your feet flat. Put your hands behind your ears, not your head. Now, the reason I say that is because when you tell people to put their hands behind their heads, first thing they do is they yank their head forward, and that puts stress on your neck. So put your hands behind your ears, think chest to the ceiling, raise your hips just a little bit, and then foam roll your middle upper back. This should actually feel pretty good. It's more lats, and you can go all the way up to your shoulders. Do not foam roll your neck. How are we doing, Freddie?
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I told you this was nice. Fun. Which is good because the next one's going to hurt. Okay.
Yep.
Now, let's face me.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're
I know it's coming.
So now we're going to do the lats. This is very similar to the IT band stretch or foam roll. You're going to extend the arm out above your head, straight with your thumb facing the ceiling. Now, it's very important that your thumb is up because if you rotate the palm down, you're actually cheating yourself out of it. So you want to have the thumb to the ceiling, open the chest, and then start to foam roll that long muscle that goes on your body.
Yep.
That's for sure.
As Roderick says, treat yourself, don't cheat yourself. There you go.
This one might smart a little bit if you're a swimmer. Oh.
Yep. What's next?
The other side. It's good to have a good attitude during all of this.
Yes.
All right, let's try to do the other side and see how that feels. So again, send the arm out, thumb up, and just back and forth, and you can go all the way to the armpit on this. You give yourself, a few sets of this, 30 seconds or so. If it's too intense, just stop, give yourself a moment. It's like giving yourself a massage. All right. Now, this next one is a little bit tougher, and people do get confused with this.
Yep.
So you're going to sit on the foam roller. Okay. Now, we're going to take one knee or one leg and figure four it over the other. Good? All right. Now, we've both chosen the same leg here. So you're going to reach across with your right hand, just like you have. Grab your knee, pull it towards your body, and then rotate onto that butt cheek. So in this case, there you go. And then go back and forth. This is your iliotibial. I'm not iliotibial, I'm sorry. Oh, it should be like right under your butt muscle.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to really kind of open that up by pulling that knee.
Yep.
Everybody always does this backwards. They grab their knee and they roll the other butt cheek. This is the butt cheek that you want. Good job, Frank. That's how it worked out.
I'm keeping it on the inside.
I'm crying.
Suffer within,
Let's try the other side. This is a little bit tougher for me, but that's okay. Yep. Good. Reach across. Then you're going to rotate to that right butt cheek. Good. Excellent. So again, you can do this every day. You can foam roll before your workout, you can foam roll after your workout. The idea is to kind of get those muscles nice and pliable so that they move with you. What you don't want is for your muscles to get stiff because you have repetitive movements that never get managed through any sort of stretching. One of the easiest things to do is to walk away from a workout without stretching. Which is Okay. You can also foam roll the inside of your thigh. So I'll show you real quick how to do that. So you're actually going to face down. You're going to put the foam roller at an angle exactly perpendicular to the inside of your thigh, and then roll in and out. Watch your Franks and Beans.
Especially for running, right?
Yes.
Like doing this is just, if you don't stretch after you run or do any sort of key.
Oh yeah,
you get stiff.
You're asking for it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've had long bike rides, and if I didn't stretch, I'll wake up in the middle of the night with cramps.
Yeah.
Just like random deep muscle, like I didn't know that was muscle.
Yeah.
And once again, if you have a spot that's kind of hot, just kind of sit on it and let your body do that, wear it out. Okay, cool. So let's assume you've got all your foam rolling out of the way. All right. Now we're actually going to work into a few exercises here. So these are exercises excuse me, most people should be able to do. The first one we're going to do is what we call a bear crawl walkout. Okay, into a reverse push-up or a push-up. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to lean over and touch your toes. And then once you touch your toes, you're going to put your hands on the floor. And you're going to walk all the way out to a push-up position. And then you're going to do a push-up. Boom, push-up, and then walk yourself back. Try to keep those legs straight. I'm actually going to have you take a step back so we stay in the camera frame. That was one.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do it again. Reach down, touch the ground, walk yourself out. Give yourself a push-up. The slower the push-up, the better if you can. Now, if you can't do a push-up, lower yourself to the ground. All the way to the ground, stop, take a deep breath, and then do what I call a peel-up. So instead of doing a push-up, you're going to plant your knees, kind of do a cobra. So you're going to go to a cobra, which is a stretch. Then plant your toes, bring your knees up, and then walk back. Modification for a push-up.
Yeah.
That's two.
Yeah.
Do another one. Push-up. Now, you can do slow push-ups, where you count to 4 on the way down, or you can do reverse push-ups, where you lower yourself all the way down. You can do the modified, where you come off your knees. Any sets between, I would say 10 and probably anywhere from 8 to 15. The important thing to note is that your body doesn't understand reps. Metabolically, your body understands time. So if you do this for a total of, let's say 45 seconds at whatever rate you're doing, as long as you're in constant movement, you're probably okay. The faster you move, the more reps you'll get. The slower you move, the lower the reps you'll get. Okay? Any version of that should work. Sound good?
Yes.
All right, moving on. Want to keep a special day?
Thank you. Please, let's move on.
The next thing we're going to do is for the lower body.
Yeah.
Now, you're better at this than I am because you have 2 legs, and I only have 1. So we're going to demonstrate a lunge.
Yeah.
So for a lunge is pretty much like an exaggerated version of a walk. Yeah, your foot. Yeah. So we're going to start with your hands on your hips, and you're going to think. You want to think with your lunge as skis are good. Okay. Railroad track is bad. So what I mean by that is when you lunge, make sure that your feet are hip width apart and they stay hip width apart like you're on skis. What you don't want to do is a tightrope. So some people, when they step forward to lunges, they step into a right, and all of a sudden you have a balance issue.
Yeah.
So you just want to step like you're on tracks. You're going to take a giant step forward, and there you go, and keep your weight on your front heel, and then come back. Now you're like 6'3".
Yeah.
So you're going to have to take a bigger step.
Yeah.
So bigger step.
Yeah. Bigger step.
There you go. Cover some space. Good. Good. And you want to make sure you don't crash down on that back knee. So be gentle to yourself. Nice. And you want to do a couple of those either way. Now, go ahead and do this like that. And keep it down. And you can modify these by either going forward. You can do what we call a clock. So, like you just did 12 o'clock. Yeah. So I can tell you now do 11 o'clock.
Okay. So this way.
Right. Boom. And then come back. And then if I said do 1 o'clock. Boom. And there's a little bit of variance in the way you move. Now, here's an interesting thing. Because we want to make sure that you move in multiple planes of motion, what if I said do 9 o'clock? You're going to get it quick. So now you're doing a side lunge. So even on a side lunge, body's forward, this leg is straight, this knee is forward. And there you go. Weight is still on your heels, and you're here. And then you go back. Cool. So try that again. Boom. Yep. Try to keep that right now straight. Yep. Good. So you can, I'm not going to have you do 3 o'clock because it's a bench. Okay. But you can do multiple directions. You can also do a reverse lunge. So if I were to tell you to do a 6 o'clock, step back, yep, and back knee, and then come forward. You can also do what we call a step through walk, or a step through lunge. So go 6 o'clock, down, directly into 12 o'clock. So come back up, and then big step forward, boom, and then back to center. So that's what
I like that. I mean, right? Let's go.
So you want reverse lunge into a forward lunge. Okay, you want to make it really fun. I'm gonna get out of your way. I got it lunging, y'all. So I want you to do 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Okay. 6 o'clock, yes. 12 o'clock, yes. 9 o'clock. Boom. And then go walk up to a push. But you see how you can stack these together to kind of create your own thing. Yeah. Okay, great. So now we've got pushes, we've got some lunges. We can also do squats. Now, squats are interesting because a lot of people left to their own devices don't necessarily squat well. So we want to make sure that we're able to squat without hurting yourself. The most important thing is think about squatting as kind of when you go to the bathroom. You know, most people when they squat the way they get into a couch. They just kind of fall into a couch. And then when they get out of the couch, they kind of throw themselves out of the couch. We want to think of it more like a porcelain toilet. You don't just fall onto a toilet. That's a terrible idea. Okay, so I'm going to move frame to the side here, and we've got our imaginary toilet. Okay, so actually just go ahead and sit. Okay. Now, if Randy from this position is going to squat, I love what you did. You got to the edge of the bench, sit back, just a couple inches, so missing. His knees are about 90 degrees. Now watch this. I'm going to tell him, raise your big toe in your sneaker. This is always a good trick. Because if you raise your big toe in your sneakers, where's the weight? It's on your heels. So you can drive off of your heels to move. So from here, broad chest and shoulders, drive your feet into the ground and stand up. Now lower yourself down to that bench. Slowly. Now see how you land on the bench? That's because you didn't push your hips down. So you can try that again. Boom, and then back. Good. Now, for you, Freddie, you can even do this. Swing around to the right. You can even do it this way. So that let's get back just a little more. Now you've got bench for days. So now you squat. You can stand up. Boom. You can squat. Come back down. And no matter what you do, you're not going to miss the bench. So for those of you that are visually impaired, you can use this modification and you shouldn't have to worry about falling. Now, from here, you're going to use your dumbbells. And use your dumbbells. Use your 12s. 40-pound dumbbells. Cool. 40, of course, the hundreds. Work out the big joints. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to have Freddie curl the weights to his shoulders. Boom. Stand up. And then press overhead. Boom. Come back down. And then squat back down. And then all the way down to this. 1. This is a squat, curl, and press. So curl. Stand up. Press. And we're following the line of the dumbbells. So the dumbbells are the highest, and then they're going to come down. He's going to come down, boom, and down. So here's another really good push-pull. You've got your pull with the biceps, your press overhead, and your squat. So, good. So you can do this again. 2 to 3 sets if you're a beginner, 12 to 20 reps at a moderate to light weight. Don't worry about how much weight you're pressing. It's not important, and nobody cares. Nobody at the curly gates is going to ask you how much is your arm curl, bro. It's only deadlift. So the push-ups. So we talked about the push-ups for a second. Some people have trouble doing push-ups. If for some reason a push-up is too much, you can always modify it. Understand that, Franny? Now, from where the bench is, You can put yourself in front of the bench so you're facing the bench so it's actually touching your shins. So we're going to come this way. Put your hands on the bench in front of you. Walk your feet back. You can do a push-up from this position. Proud chest and shoulders. Boom. He comes up. So let's say this is too much. Stand up. Get my elbow. I'm going to walk you over to a wall. Hands on the wall. Feet back. Push-up. This is a push-up. This is still a push-up. It's incredibly regressed, but it's a push-up. Not a butt, and it's still a push-up.
Yes.
So even for people who think they can't do a push-up, if you can push yourself off of a wall, you can do a push-up. And then as you get stronger, you go from the wall to a bench to a floor, so on and so forth. So those are just a couple of things you can do. With regard to our dumbbells, we're going to walk you back over to the bench. So we've got the bench here. We've got dumbbells. You can do a very simple. I'm going to grab my set over here because I don't want Franny to have all the fun. You can actually do what we call a straight leg Romanian deadlift. So what we're going to do here is our straight leg deadlift. So your knees are soft, but they're not bent. You're going to hinge at the hips and let yourself put your shoulders are back even though you're leaning forward. So you're going to feel this in your hamstrings. When your hamstrings up, back straight, round chest and shoulders. There you go. And it's really okay. You should feel this in your hamstrings. And when you do, come back up. Boom. Over again. This time when we get flat, go ahead and roll the weights up. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Good. And then back down. Up with the weights. And you'll notice a difference between if your elbows go back versus down and bring them out now. Yes, slightly different.
Yeah.
Okay, that's called a row. So you can do that.
Yeah.
So now you've got a row in 2 different variations, push-ups, 2 or 3 different variations, and we've got lunges and we've done squats. Now let's say this is still too much. I'm going to show you another really basic one. So go ahead and put your weights down. Okay. Now, I'm going to have Franny actually on the floor. I'm going to have you take 2 steps to the left. And you're going to sit on the floor. Okay, right on your back. Hands across your chest. Feet flat. I'm sorry, feet flat, knees bent. There you go. Now you're going to drive your heels into the ground, push your hips up, and squeeze your butt. Boom. Now you have a glute. This is called a hip bridge or glute bridge. You don't want to arch your back, but you do want to squeeze your butt. And then bring it down slowly. If you want to make it a little easier, you can put your arms out to the side and give yourself a little bit more surface area. There you go. Boom. You want to make it harder? Put one leg up. A little bit harder. Okay, just do a couple. That's all you need. Yeah, good. Now, I'm going to have you sit up and then scoot over to the left a little bit. And I'm going to demonstrate. You can also do this off of a bench. So now I've got my shoulders on the bench, not my neck. And I can do the same thing here. Glute bridge from this position, or hip thrust, some people would call it. And I'm still working those same muscles. And most of the people watching should be able to do this exercise in one variation or the other. Notice no matter how we set it up, it's still the same basic body movement, which is pushing the hips forward. It's going to stretch the quads and work the glutes. Powerful butt. I do not know anyone who does not want to have a nicer butt. That's why you introduce me to someone who says, my butt is too nice. I wish it was sloppy.
Yep.
Nobody ever said that. Okay? So those are some of the basic movements that I would suggest. Yeah. Those are some of the basic movements I would suggest. And let's take a couple steps forward. Yep.
Yeah, that's like a good, well-rounded routine.
Yeah.
Right? If you're an athlete, just to stay, get strength, stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You just pick the version of each movement that you're able to do.
Yep.
And just run them.
Do what you can, don't do what you can't do.
Right.
You can do this with bands, you can do this with dumbbells, you can do this with barbells, you can do this with medicine balls, you can do variations of this with kettlebells, just about anything. If you have a TRX, if you know what that is, it's like a suspension system. Most of these exercises are available through suspension systems. The important thing is you try to move yourself in all planes of motion. That means forward, sideways, and in some sort of rotational movement. One of the biggest problems that we used to see with a lot of athletes or people that we would train is they only move in one direction. Yeah. Because people walk in a sagittal, basically forward and backwards. So they walk in a sagittal motion, so they only do sagittal movements, like squats, lunges, curls, and presses. But what they don't do is side to side. So you got to remember that nobody has a problem going fast and forward. People get hurt with deceleration and change of direction. So as you progress your fitness, work in deceleration and change of direction.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this routine.
I appreciate it.
Shall we, yeah, Jenna, do you want to open it up with some questions? There are some.
You got it, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to dust off my foam roller.
It's probably under your couch.
I love it.
My lat reminded me where mine is.
Great. All right. So, friends who are tuning in, now's a great opportunity to ask Coach Francesco or Billy Davis any questions you might have. It doesn't have to necessarily pertain to the exercises shown today, just any questions about personal training, fitness, things like that. Oh, we have our first question coming in. This is from Michael Anderson. What is the frequency that you recommend the side-to-side motions?
Ooh, that's a great question. So how you doing, Mike? Good to see you. I would say try to work side-to-side and transverse or rotational movements into every workout. As you get more workout specific and you go through a longer, more detailed programming, eventually at some point you're just doing movement specific things, but it also depends on the exercise or the goal that you're working towards. For example, Francesco does a lot of cycling. That's his primary sport. So that's going to involve a lot of this type of movement, forward movements. So his side-to-side movement would be more for stability and maintenance, whereas if you were, say, a hockey player and you were on ice skates all the time, side-to-side movement would be a lot more important. Not that it's less important for runners, but you use it functionally for something like ice skating. So it's just a little bit different. If you were, for example, a football player on a defensive thing and like side or basketball, for example, where explosive, lots of cutting and change of direction, that's really when you want to use it. Because what you don't want is to be really strong forward, and then when you do need to move sideways, your body is so imbalanced and disproportionately strong that one muscle actually pulls you out of position and you end up injuring yourself.
Well, because you think you're as strong as you are moving forward or sideways as you are moving forward, right? So you'll like explode sideways thinking you'll be fine.
And you won't.
And you won't.
The body does best with the best. The body does best what the body does most.
Yeah.
So if all you ever do is forward and backwards, one day when you try to move to side, you may surprise yourself and not for the better.
Yeah.
It's that classic thing where like you show up at Thanksgiving dinner and your nephew is a little bit taller and you're like, hey, let's play some football. And you go to try to outrun him, he jukes, you try to juke, and next thing you know, you're laying on the ground.
You guys are funny.
We'll be here all night.
He says, thank you. Thanks for the tips. He's going to step it up for H&P. All right, Michael. Next question.
Possibility.
Ryan, this question is for both Billy and Francesco. When is your next big race, and are you ready for it? Dun, dun, dun.
Yep.
So I would love to say that my next big race is the New York City Triathlon on July 11th. But to be honest, Compass Real Estate, which is the company I work real estate for, has decided to host a 6 a.m. 6K on Monday in Central Park. So I've got to be ready to run 4 miles on Monday. And second part of that answer, I plead the fifth. But I will be at 6 a.m. in Central Park on the east side to run 4 miles for Achilles. And we've already raised, I think, around $3 grand or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Wait, Billy, you could do the triathlon on Saturday. You could do Hope and Possibility. Oh, wait, no, the triathlon is it the same day?
What day? It's Sunday.
That Saturday is all meetings, race meetings.
Here's a thought. You could do the triathlon. I'm sorry, Hope and Possibility Saturday. triathlon Sunday, and then you can do your Monday morning and do all three.
Well, no, Monday is like this Monday. In 2 days, like, yeah.
It's this Monday.
Like in a few days.
Totally do the triathlon and Hope and Possibility over that weekend.
Why are you guys trying to kill me?
We
All
want
right,
Billy
You don't
around.
want to come back, do you? What about you, Franny? What's your next big one?
Next big race is trials for Tokyo, June 19th. So, am I ready? We'll see you on June 19th. That's right. Same answer. Same answer.
Ask the other
That's so
20.
exciting.
If I'm on the podium, then I did well. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Any more questions coming in? Let's see. Well, I do want to just give a shout out to, I'm probably not pronouncing her name correctly, but Nomin Gakhoyam is dialing in from Mongolia. So she wins.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you.
The longest distance to tune in to this event. And who knows what time it is there. Maybe it's 8 a.m, but I give her a lot of credit for tuning in.
Yeah, see, you win. You win. We know.
And that's
That's
awesome.
the winner.
So go Achilles Mongolia. Okay, any other questions? I think we have a shy crew today. That's all we have.
It's a lot. I'll say, like, I'm still relatively new to this world, right? I've only started endurance training and then doing the strength for that since like 2017. So it can be overwhelming. So I would just, like, if it is, just start with one movement, right? Start with that, just do it. Once you feel comfortable, pick another one and add that to the routine. Like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. So that's my 2 cents.
And on the coattails of that, endurance training in general is about consistency. Another misconception people have about fitness is you can make these grandiose gestures. So people often overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a lifetime. Okay, so don't think that one big, massive 15-mile run is going to get you ready for a 6K or a 10K. What will get you ready are several small runs in a row so that your body gets used to the endurance and the time that it takes to do those effects. And fitness is in any capacity is the same. It's not about one big workout. It's about putting together small several wins consistently so that on that day, when you're going to the trials, when you're doing your triathlon or whatever your event is, that your body is able to do all that in one day by going, oh, we do small versions of this 5-6 times a week, 3-4 times a week. And we've been doing that for weeks or months. No problem.
Yeah, that's right.
That's great advice, Billy. I need to take that as well. Small baby steps, working on, these mini sessions, and also the idea of maybe working out now with a friend or a partner to help encourage each other to push versus working out alone, which I know a lot of us have been doing for a long time. And now that things are opening up, the idea of having someone to push you and you to push them is helpful as well. I could see, and you also make it fun, right? Like if you're working out with a buddy, it's fun.
And sometimes it's not about pushing, it's just about accountability. Yeah. Like if I know that Francesco is going to show up at 2:00 on Thursday, that sometimes is just enough to make me go, well, you know what? I don't want to let Franny down. Let me at least show up. Yeah. And that's the hardest part. If I know that Franny's going to be there to scream at me, maybe I don't want to be there. So, a lot of, again, the accountability thing is just about showing up. Consistency is the key. I can't stress that enough.
Absolutely. Well, I can't thank you enough, Billy, for taking the time to join us today for our workshop as we spring into action. I know many of us are setting our own goals. We have another question. I was just going to wrap things up, but we're going to take a question from Joseph. Do you suggest cross training as part of your workout, and what exercises do you do?
Again,
I would say the ones we just did, right?
Yeah. Well, cross training is always great. I would consult with a professional, like a personal trainer or a coach, because cross training is relative. Cross training for triathlons is different than cross training for CrossFit. Yeah. So you want to figure out, okay, what's my goal? What are the exercises that are specific to that goal? And then cross training really pertains to the supplemental exercises that help with that. So it's really important, like for triathlons, for example, we're all about endurance. We run, we swim, we cycle. So for us, cross training is weightlifting. which means you just supplement the workouts with lightweight training workouts from time to time. Now, if I'm a power lifter, cross training might be swimming, because I need to do something that kind of takes the body in a different direction than the hard, strong, heavy movements. So I want long endurance movements. So it's really relative to what your goals are. But I also recommend it, absolutely.
Excellent answer. All right, we are going to wrap things up now unless someone else has any more questions. Again, Billy, thank you for being there for us tonight and sharing your expertise with us. And also thank you again to the Independent Training Spot. What a beautiful spot today with well-lit atmosphere. And you said some of the top trainers in the world train in this spot in Midtown East Manhattan. Coach Francesco, you're always just fun to be around. You have such skill. We're so excited for you to be Paralympic hopeful, sending you just good vibes. Keep on training, keep on doing your thing and bringing joy to the Achilles population near and far. We love seeing you out in the park, both of you, and we wish you all the best on your next adventures, and just appreciate all that you do. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We hope you will join us. We just announced our Hope and Possibility race will be in person here in New York City, Central Park. We're returning on July 10th. Also, we have a virtual component that begins that day and goes throughout the week in July. For those who can't make it to New York City, we hope you all join us and start training for that. That's a great race to train for. The in-person is a 4-miler, the virtual is a 5K. Baby steps. We're going to be posting this week a training guide written by Coach Francesco that, check out our social channels to view that. And we look forward to seeing you soon in person. Things are opening up now, and we have a lot of things, hopeful things in the pipeline. So thank you again. Everyone have a good night. Thank you again, Billy and Coach Francesco. We'll see you next time. Go Achilles.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.